Hey guys, welcome back to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood, and welcome to all new viewers. We're getting a lot of new viewers over from the Young Turks. Very cool. Thanks for joining us. So I'm doing another Patreon backer topic. So if you go, there's a link below to my Patreon page for $5 a month. I'll pick one. You can suggest one article a month, and I will talk about it and dedicate the whole episode to that article. And of course, you get a name shout out. So this is from Patreon backer Eric Butterfield. Eric, I know you support a lot of other things I do, Comedy Film Nerds. Thank you so much for this. This is awesome. He sent me a link about an article from, and I'll get into the article in a second. I'll also put the article below. There was a huge Wounded Warrior project about a year ago, had a huge scandal. The two top executives running the Wounded Warrior Project non-for-profit were bilking tens of millions of dollars on trips, and it was awful. And that's an organization that should be helping vets. So Eric, I'll read his email in a second. For those of you who are just finding out me and the show, I'm a stand-up comedian. I've done 7 U.S. Comedy tours for the United States military and coalition forces in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Kuwait. And I started doing that in 2004. I went 04, 06, 07, 08, 2011, and 2012. And since the drawdown, I haven't been able to get, there are still shows going over there because we still have troops in Afghanistan. I just haven't been able to get out as many. But anyway, I've done a lot of stuff with veterans groups. I've even did a fundraiser for the Wounded Warrior Project back in Oahu about 6 years ago. So this is near and dear to my heart. And thank you, Eric, for sending this. Graham, looking for your opinion on charities aimed at helping vets and how effective they are and or could be. If you ran a charity, what would it be? Love you, Graham. Keep up the good work. Love you too, Eric. Bros, knuckling up. So I'll go into this. I'll answer the second part of your question in a sec, but just to go into what happened with the Wounded Warrior Project, I'll read this. This was in foxnews.com from March 10th of 2016. So this is when it broke about a year ago. Wounded Warrior Project's top execs fired amid lavish spending scandal. 2 top executives of the Wounded Warrior Project, among the largest veterans charities in the country, were fired Thursday after an investigation into accusations of lavish spending on parties, hotel, and travel, according to a statement released on behalf of the embattled organization. Wounded Warrior Project CEO Steve Nardizzi and COO Al Giordano, fellas, sounds like some mob business, were fired by the charity's board amid criticisms about how it spent more than $800 million in donations over the last 4 years. I'm sorry, I was incorrect. It's hundreds of millions of dollars that these assholes scammed. The development was confirmed by Abernathy McGregor, a public relations firm hired to represent the veterans charity. Of course, those guys got fired. There was a CBS investigation. So, well, first I want to, in the article, it links to this, but I want to turn you on to charitynavigator.org is a watchdog group. And it basically, because if you're a non-for-profit, you have to release all of your financials. Obviously, you can cook the books and doctor out, but you have to release them more so than a regular corporation has to. So Charity Navigator is a very good website if you're interested in any charity. Like, well, what's this new charity? And they break down, and I'll go to Charity Navigator in a sec. They break down how the money they bring in and how they're spending it. And basically, there's a couple key numbers, like the percentage of money that goes to the actual services that the non-for-profit is claiming to support. At the time of this article, a year ago, Wounded Warrior Project was doing about 60%. So that's basically 60 cents on the dollar. That's a pretty shitty number. I'm going to be honest with you. I've worked in some other non-for-profits. I still am a volunteer for the American Red Cross. I just went to a meeting about a week or two ago to I got to get retrained on some stuff. And that's where I learned about Charity Navigator. So you want in the 80% or higher, basically. Now, every non-for-profit has overhead. If you have office space and employees, that's overhead. You have to pay those people. So, and that's where some of your donation dollars go to, and that's okay. And some of them, Some of the donation money goes towards fundraising events. Like anytime you see an advertisement for a non-for-profit, or you get something in the mail, or that whatever, that costs money, obviously, and they're trying to, it's marketing. It's marketing. They have to do marketing just like a regular for-profit company. So, like if you go to Charity Navigator, I typed in another organization I've worked with and I think is great is the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, IAVA.org. And you can see what their score is. So they do an overall score and rating, and it's like a graph, and the accountability and transparency score, and then the financial score. So you can see that right there. That's too glary. All right, that sucks. You go to the website. Sorry. But so what it does, so like if you go to, and it shows you right here, like the IAVA, they raised almost $7.3 million last year, and they spent where that money went. So they show a graph. You can see these pie charts, right? I can't show you the details, but because of the glare. But basically, so 80% of the money from the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America went to program and expenses. 9.8% went to administrative. That's what I was talking about, office space. If any of you work for non-for-profits, you know what I'm talking about. And then 9.9%, almost 10%, went to fundraising. So the Wounded Warrior Project's numbers are way better a year from now because they obviously had to gut and they had to be way more transparent. So it bothers me immensely when this happens, but this does happen. Why this is so awful, obviously, is first there's just, people get greedy. That kind of money's rolling in. They get greedy. And as I've talked about in another video, the country has gotten so out of touch and so selfish and so greedy, and especially on the corporate level, and everybody's just in it for themselves. Like nobody's thinking of the greater good. Like what is the best for the greater good? And if you're, I just don't know how you could sit there and spend money. Like I don't know how the fuck you look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm spending money on hotels and first class plane tickets and big parties. I know there's a guy out there with a prosthetic leg because he lost it on an IED in Afghanistan, but hey man, fuck it. Like I don't know how, like how do you look, I don't know how you live with yourself. But to answer your question, obviously, this is horrible what happened, Eric. But I have seen these organizations work. And this is why it's what I've been talking about a lot on this show. You have to just do some investigation before you give your hard-earned money to an organization. And I tried to start a charity called Comics in Combat, and it was going to be a bunch of comedians that had been overseas, and it was going to be sort of raise money doing events and give stuff to vets and stuff like that. My documentary, Afghanistan, never made enough money, and I didn't want to spend all of the money I was donating just to maintain, because you have to file corporate taxes and all this other stuff to maintain a 501c3. So I was like, I'd rather just, so I was getting donations and I was just then giving them to other organizations like the Disabled American Veterans and IAVA. And I was giving to Wounded Warrior Project, but then I stopped because of this. But I feel like I might go back to them. I know that's a kind of a lengthy answer. The question is, I don't know, you have to use your own judgment. I think these organizations, by and large, many of them are doing good work. And, what happened with Wounded Warrior was awful. But the fact that they got busted, I got to believe that they're not up to their old tricks unless they're just completely out of their minds. So I would do the research. I would go to charitynavigator.org and find out what organizations you want to donate to. What I would, again, that Comics in Combat, if I start making big money, I'm going to do some stuff for vets. I want to, there's so many things I've heard about, like just a vet who loses a leg, a limb or two, and then they need money to retrofit their house, like put in, ramps and stuff like that you just don't think about when you're able-bodied. And I think what I would do is just find that individual and give them the money is what I would do. I don't know, or maybe I would set up a foundation and just donate money to the foundation, and then the foundation chooses who to go help. And I would try to keep the overhead as low as possible, is what I think I would do because yeah, that's what I would do. Eric, I hope that answered your question. So guys, go to charitynavigator.org when you're investigating where to donate your hard-earned money for a non-for-profit. Eric Butterfield, thank you so much, and all the other Patreon backers and all of you for watching. Patreon link is below. Please like, please subscribe, and share these videos with everybody on your own social media.